Crawford's gonna win this fight doing something that nobody's done to Canelo.
Okay.
That's all I'm gonna say. And it didn't take me going to camp to know this.
Okay.
If he doesn't fight the one way that he can only fight to win it, Terence Crawford has 6 ways he can win it. And my money will go on the man who has 6 ways to win it over the man who has 1 way to win it.
That's going to be the same version of guy that's going to show up in September? No. I mean, Canelo, he didn't look as fit as he did his last fight. He looked listless. He looked like he didn't care. He didn't have the crowd behind him.
You'll need to sit down for this one because what I'm about to tell you is going to send shockwaves through the entire boxing world. Former world champion Shawn Porter just dropped the most insane prediction about the Crawford versus Canelo fight. And I'm not even kidding when I say his exact words were that Canelo is going to be absolutely demolished. But that's just the beginning of this wild story that has the entire combat sports community losing their minds right now.
Makes sense, though. If Crawford's going to win this fight, he'll surprise people in the fashion he does it in. Because a lot of people picking Crawford, they think foot speed and turn Canelo all night. And I'm like, nah, he's
born victor?
No, it's just he's definitely a lot better than the guys of the last couple years who have tried to beat Canelo that way, Billy Joe, Caleb. But even though he's better than them, it didn't that game plan, it didn't work. So it's not gonna look like that if Crawford pulls this off. It's gonna look different than that, to your point.
Porter didn't just make some casual prediction. Oh no. This man went full savage mode and declared that Terence Crawford is going to do something to Canelo Alvarez that absolutely nobody has ever done before. We're talking about a performance so dominant, so utterly devastating, that it's going to go down as one of the most historic beatdowns in boxing history. And the craziest part, Porter says Crawford's training right now is on a completely different planet compared to anything we've ever seen.
Fight, he does have a chance, and I think he could be victorious. If he doesn't fight the one way that he can only fight to win it, Terence Crawford has 6 ways he can win it. And my money will go on the man who has 6 ways to win it over the man who has 1 way to win it.
So you think Canelo has to kind of fight the perfect fight, right?
If he don't, he's in trouble. If he does, he should be all good.
Let's talk about the weight a little bit, right? Because we all know everything you accomplished as a heavyweight. What is Terence dealing with right now?
I don't think Terence dealing with much of anything because Terence did like I did as a heavyweight. He bulked up to the weight. He's been dealing with super middles and light heavyweights in training. If you can deal with them in training, you can deal with them in the fight. So the weight should not even be an issue.
Do you think Terence is that one fighter where he could accomplish what a lot of people are thinking is not doable? Is he that one fighter who's just wired and has that different DNA?
He is, and not only to mention is he the guy that can, he's already done it. How many 2 or 3 division undisputed champions have we ever had besides Usyk? Usyk is a 2 division undisputed champ. This dude is a 3 division undisputed champ already, and if he win this, he'll be a 4 division undisputed champ. We may never see that again. See, people don't like to celebrate the reality when it's happening. They'll wait till the person dead and they talk about it. This man is the only 3 division undisputed champion that boxing has ever had. Are we wondering, can he step up to a task? Really? Do you know who we're talking about?
But hold up, because Porter's bombshell prediction is just one piece of this absolutely mind-blowing puzzle. The legendary Roy Jones Jr. himself has come forward with analysis that's going to change everything you thought you knew about this fight. Jones broke down this matchup in a way that's going to make your jaw drop. And what he revealed about Crawford's tactical advantages is absolutely terrifying for Team Canelo.
You take a top-notch Hispanic fighter, put him against a top-notch black fighter, the black dude usually edges him out. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the Latino fighters, because look at the greats. De La Hoya, motherfucking
Roberto
Duran, Arguello, Felix Trinidad, what's my man's name? Chavez.
Huh?
So there have been legends, but 9 times out of 10, when the top Mexican legend takes on the top black legend, the black dude wins. Boxing and basketball is just something that niggas just, we got that wop that just, we edge you out. Duran lost to Hagler. He got knocked out so viciously by Hearns. Rumor is he's still waking up today. He lost he did the no mas with Leonard.
Yeah, no, I've been hanging out with Sugar Ray Leonard recently. We talked
De
about
La
that whole
Hoya
situation.
lost to Floyd. He lost to Bernard. He lost to Sugar Shane Mosley. Usually the black fighters edge out the Latinos when it come down to it.
So basically, you're saying Crawford's going to win because he's black.
I'm saying he's going to win because he's got skills. But that black component, that's that extra juice.
That's that extra juice? I mean, look.
It's like the Batmobile when it's going fast, and then he hits the nitro button, and the flame shoots out of the back of the car. It takes it to another level. Black dudes have the nitro switch.
According to the Hall of Famer, Terence Crawford is not one, not two, but 6 completely different ways he can destroy Canelo Alvarez. We're talking about 6 separate paths to victory, each one based on Crawford's insane adaptability, his otherworldly ring IQ, and his supernatural ability to make adjustments mid-fight that leave opponents completely lost and confused. But here's where it gets absolutely brutal for Canelo. Jones says the Mexican superstar has only any way to win this fight, and that's through relentless pressure and landing those signature power shots.
Whatever. I was really excited that Terence Crawford, when we were going through some of the historical things that could take place if he wins this fight, what they would mean. And at the end of that part of the conversation, he says, there's a lot riding on this fight. Like, he knows it. I don't think he feels pressure from it. I think he embraces that. But I like to hear that the fighter understands the magnitude of this fight and embraces that and realizes, like the general public that follows boxing or the media, that this is a bigger deal than your average fight, and that he is keenly aware of that. So I love that. He was very, very well spoken, and we discussed a lot of different topics, and I think people will get a kick out of it. It's on our podcast feed. It'll be up on the YouTube channel, and I hope people check it out.
Sticking with Crawford, because I've spoken to a few guys in his team, and there seems to be this mindset where they really, really believe they're going to win this fight, and obviously every fighter that goes into any fight will believe they win this fight, but do you get that impression that they're in no doubt that this goes their way, and it's a case of just turning up for a payday?
Oh, absolutely. Terence Crawford has never been the kind of fighter that's just looking to take a fight to get paid. Yeah, he's going to get paid a whole ton of money, and so is Canelo Alvarez. But, if you follow Terence Crawford, if you watch the way he fights, watch the way he conducts himself, know him at all, even just a little bit, I can't claim to be like best buddies with him, but I got a pretty good feel for Crawford, having been around him so many times for all these fights he's had. There is 0.000% chance that he is coming into this fight with anything other than victory in mind. I mean, he really believes that this is his moment to shine and create a huge addition to what's already a tremendous boxing legacy. Besides just the money, I mean, Terence Crawford can take a fight against anybody, make a good amount of money. And so while that's important, of course,
the mathematical odds are stacking up in a way that should have Canelo's team absolutely terrified right now. Jones emphasized that when you have a fighter with 6 different tactical approaches going up against someone with only one clear path to victory, you're looking at a strategic mismatch of epic proportions. The tactical gap between these two fighters isn't just wide, it's a freaking canyon, and Crawford is standing on the side with all the weapons. But wait, because this gets even more intense. Comedy legend and fight enthusiast Ari Spears just delivered a historical analysis that's going to make your head spin. Spears dove deep into decades of boxing history, specifically looking at the pattern when elite Mexican fighters face off against top-tier African-American boxers, and what he discovered is absolutely shocking.
Canelo's legacy. And he gave a resounding yeah. A resounding yeah. He said it would massively tarnish Canelo's legacy. And some of the things that he said were just basically things that most of us know, just some register and make sure that other people know and others don't, right? But it would tarnish his legacy, and for the obvious reasons. One is, we know that the guy's older. Crawford's older. He's going to be 38 years old here, right? So he's an older fighter. He's an inactive fighter, right? And most of the time, these are things that, make people say that people are going to lose. Man, he's inactive. So he's pretty inactive, hasn't fought in a year, hasn't fought more than once a year in 3 to 4 years.
Throughout boxing history, when you put a top-level Hispanic fighter against a top-level black fighter, the African-American competitor has emerged victorious an overwhelming majority of the time. We're talking about a historical pattern that includes some of the biggest names in the sport. Spears pointed to the perfect combination of slick defensive skills surgical counterpunching precision, and tactical adaptability that has consistently troubled aggressive, forward-pressing Mexican fighters throughout the decades.
Canelo uses his legs, he uses his core, and then his neck itself to lift up Bivol like Bivol was a featherweight. That is a huge representation of how strong Canelo is. When you look at his workouts, you can tell why he was able to do that. All these damn neck exercises that I wouldn't dare do. Okay, that stuff looks painful. The squatting and all that stuff that he's doing is exactly why Canelo Alvarez, honestly, is a strong fighter. He tried to do it again with William Scull. William Scull shook out of it, but he is a bull. Listen, Terence Bud Crawford is strong. He is, okay? And he understands leverage, and he understands those things because he wrestled. Honestly, very true. But Saul Canelo Alvarez is also extremely strong. Now, let me know how you feel in the comments below.
Now, before anyone gets it twisted, Spears made it crystal clear that he has massive respect for legendary Mexican champions like Oscar de la Hoya, Roberto Duran, Julio Cesar Chavez, and Felix Trinidad. These are certified boxing legends who have earned their place in history. But when you look at the head-to-head matchups between the absolute elite from both backgrounds, the pattern is undeniable and it heavily favors fighters with Crawford's style and background. Speaking of mental warfare, veteran boxing journalist Dan Raphael just revealed something about Crawford's psychological approach that should have Canelo waking up in cold sweats. Raphael explained that Crawford isn't just aware of the massive dangers that Canelo presents, is actually embracing them and using them as fuel for his preparation. This is next-level mental toughness that separates true champions from pretenders.
Didn't change at all.
Not a whole lot. It hasn't changed all that much. Listen, the skull fight, could Canelo have done more? Absolutely. But is that going to be the same version of guy that's going to show up in September? No. I mean, Canelo, he didn't look as fit as he did his last fight. He looked listless. He looked like he didn't care. He didn't have the crowd behind him. And Marcus, you've been to a ton of Canelo fights. You know how that arena is. It is insane. Insane. In Vegas, I mean, it's deafening, the entire fight. I remember when he fought B.J. Saunders in
oh my
Texas.
God.
And he's
That
waving
Saunders
on
one?
80,000 fans.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, he is a gladiator. You know, I called Tim a warrior. Canelo's a gladiator. He is there for the adoration of the fans. I just think that he was a little too clinical in there that night. You know, he didn't have that same drive. He had a guy who just was not willing to engage. That's not going to be Crawford, and that's not going to be Canelo. They're going to be their peak of what they are at this point. Because again, Crawford is 38 years old. Canelo will be 35 by then. So I think they're going to be the peak for what they are at their ages. But it's easy to go, wow, what have you done for me lately? That's usually how everyone kind of sees everything. So, but I think it's good. I think it makes the fight more enticing if a lot of people are thinking that Crawford can win. And don't get me wrong, Crawford can absolutely win the fight. I'm not saying he can't win the fight. But in terms of how I see it, it hasn't really changed my thoughts because I know better than to just trust that last thing I saw because there's a lot of confounding factors.
Crawford's entire mindset has been built on running toward challenges instead of away from them. And according to Raphael, instead of feeling pressure from the magnitude of this fight, Crawford is using it to sharpen his focus to an almost supernatural level. The undefeated champion is treating every possible scenario like a chess match, preparing counter-moves for situations that most fighters wouldn't even think about. This kind of mental stability could be the deciding factor when these two warriors step into that ring.
Understands that he has to be smart. And I think with this one specifically, it ain't just about being smart. He knows he has to look like he's never looked before because, again, if he doesn't and he beats Canelo, everybody's just going to say, well, that's Crawford. So I think he knows that this is the performance of a lifetime and everything has to look right. He knows in order for it to look right, he can't just go out there and let the dog go. The dog is, you got to work his way up to the dog. Hey, show the clip real quick. I don't know if you showed it already, but this is the dog you're talking about right here, right? And so I pulled this clip right here. I seen it on social media this morning.
Don't do that. That's what I'm saying.
And I pulled this clip, right? But this is Terence.
That's who he is.
He's not gonna swing on Canelo. He already know that part of the game. But what I asked you, were you ever trying to send a message to your opponents? He's letting you know, and it's no act. And that's what I really wanted to show, is that's not an act.
No.
That's not, there's 30 security guards.
I don't know,
it
feels a little contrived.
You think so?
I think a lot of people feel it's a little like.
Well, I'm glad you used a big word that most of us don't know.
Hey, I don't fight as good as you guys. I had to learn some big words, right, to make up for that.
Don't look it up. Just ignore what
you need big words to get out of fights. You need big words to get out of fights. But okay. So case in point, our guy Hafey, sitting right there, producer extraordinaire.
But here's where things get absolutely terrifying for boxing fans. The legacy implications of this fight are beyond anything we've seen in recent memory. If Canelo Alvarez loses to Terence Crawford, a naturally smaller fighter moving up in weight, it could leave a permanent stain on his otherwise legendary record that might never wash off. In boxing's brutal historical narrative, legacy is absolutely everything, and losing to a smaller opponent at the peak of your career often brings the harshest scrutiny imaginable.
Oh my God, we just got some absolutely absurd boxing news breaking. Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford, targeted for December or January in the United States. Oh my God. I'm not even lying when I say this is literally one of the biggest combat sports fights of all time. And as I said earlier, it's targeted in December or January, so the build-up to this fight is going to be incredible. The fact that it's in the United States is insane. Saudi Arabia has low-key saved boxing. This is an absolutely mega fight. I was not expecting this at 1 in the afternoon, but here we are. Terence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez, targeted for December/January in the United States. Crazy, 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 crazy. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and click that follow button for more combat sports videos. Wow.
For Canelo, this isn't just about another belt or another payday. This is about protecting his position among the all-time greats of the sport. A loss here would be dissected and analyzed for decades, with critics questioning whether the Mexican superstar was truly as dominant as his record suggests, or if he simply avoided the most dangerous stylistic matchups during his prime years. The technical breakdown from respected analyst showbiz reveals just how fascinating this stylistic clash really is. On one side, you have Canelo's incredible strength, legendary durability, and that relentless pressure that has broken down so many elite opponents over the years. The man's ability to absorb punishment while setting traps and delivering devastating counters is absolutely unmatched in his division.
Yeah, he's ready. Right when I seen that, I said Crawford wins. His movement, everything he wins. It doesn't matter if Spence was not strong or strong. He had more of the stuff to win that fight. And Crawford is a game player. He's gonna come. He come to win. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I still say Crawford anyway, but I feel bad that we didn't see the true Spence fight Crawford. If that makes any sense.
But Crawford brings something completely different to the table that could neutralize all of Canelo's traditional advantages. His background in wrestling has given him enhanced balance, superior positioning, and an almost superhuman ability to read opponents in real time. This combination of athletic pedigree and pure boxing intelligence might be the perfect weapon to solve the Canelo puzzle that so many others have failed to crack. Former world champion Chris Algieri just dropped some knowledge that completely changes how we should view Canelo's recent performances. Algieri is pushing back hard against people using the John Ryder fight as evidence that Canelo is declining, and his argument makes perfect sense. He's pointing to Canelo's incredible track record of elevating his performance when the stakes are at their absolute highest.
Well, you could argue Canelo got it tactically wrong tonight, because I just don't understand why he didn't use his jab more. I understand that he was conserving energy, he was patient, he was taking it slow. He doesn't lead off with the jab much anymore, Canelo. But really, the jab helps you bring your feet closer and bring them into range, so I don't understand why he wasn't jabbing more. He can't use that much extra energy for him to not be able to use his lead hand just a bit more in that fight. So that was a bit concerning, and you could maybe argue that he knows Crawford's ringside, he knows the fight is done for September. He maybe doesn't want to show him too much, or he wants to give him maybe false confidence or false hope. I don't think that's the case. I think you get rid of Skull if you can, and I'm just not sure Canelo is able to do it anymore at that level. Definitely good enough to beat a guy like Skull. Skull was clearly terrified of the power, but, you know, what does this mean for a fight like Crawford? Well, the first thing I noticed was, in the face-off, and I'm sure Crawford was wearing quite thick-soled trainers, as he quite often does, but the size difference didn't look that bad. It really didn't. Like,